guys, and welcome to another episode of Fit and Focus for Remote Work and Digital Nomads podcast. Guys, my name is Shurina. I'm a certified nutritionist, health, nutrition, brain performance coach, and just someone with a lot of passion for helping you guys to learn all the tools that science, neuroscience, integrative health science, nutrition science have to offer to help you to feel, look, and do your absolute best. Guys, did you know that before, probably if you've been on the podcast for a while, you know that I spent quite some time in weight loss, fat loss coaching, and I got certified as a weight loss coach. And also coming from someone who did fitness modeling, I just know a lot about how to make the body and the brain together burn and lose a lot of fat, and also long term not to gain it, right? And today I want to share with you something that connects the brain, connects neuroscience and our science of, not so much science, but the experience and data we have as society about weight loss, fat loss. And of course, I'm going to give you very practical tools, so specifically what to eat for breakfast or as early in the day as possible to reduce your hunger, eliminate or reduce your cravings, and that indirectly, of course, gonna help you to maintain your ideal body weight easier. And if you are someone who is trying to lose some weight right now, to lose some fat right now, then it is something that's gonna help you to do exactly that without having more troubles and issues with your hunger. Because at the end of the day, if we are super hungry and craving things, it's going to be super hard to lose weight and maintain your ideal body weight. And that part of the equation, cravings and hunger, I must share it. And that's because I combined science with my environment. Today we are not talking about environment, we are talking about science. So, as you know, from listening to this podcast and probably from a lot of other resources, or maybe you don't know, but our body needs certain nutrients that are essential to get from our food, or negative consequences will follow. Our lifespan, our health gonna be compromised, right? And the brain, through the receptors all over our gut, our digestive tract, through other different mechanisms, the brain is always tracking how are we on energy and how are we on a few essential nutrients, components of our foods that we need to get regularly to make our body, this whole very complex machine, to function properly. And if you eat those things that your brain is searching for, then you're going to experience much less hunger on a regular basis, versus if you are on some sort of diet or eating plan that does not supply those nutrients regularly in sufficient amounts, you're going to experience more cravings, more hunger, and you're going to be holding on to more weight, because when you don't get certain essential nutrients consistently for your brain, for your body, it's a signal that you're not getting essential nutrition. So at least we need to hold on to some fat, some energy reserves, just to keep you running, keep you surviving until you get those, right? So a art and science of maintaining leaner body weight easier is getting those nutrients on a regular basis. And I'm going to tell you in a minute what those nutrients are. They're very simple. And ideally, you would put those nutrients into your breakfast whenever that breakfast happens. Sometimes people say, well, I'm fasting. No, I fast. I don't have breakfast. You do have breakfast. Breakfast is break the fast. It's the first meal of the day. So I don't care when you have your first meal of the day. I do recommend that if you are struggling with cravings and hunger, that you do have your breakfast, your lunch and dinner, because regularity makes your hunger less if you eat certain kinds of meals. But anyhow, So you want to get those nutrients as early in the day as possible. And the timing matters because the earlier in the day you give your brain the signal that we are getting essential nutrients, the earlier your brain will make your hunger less, will make your hunger almost disappear, right? You're not going to experience a lot of hunger later in the day, especially for dinner, where people tend to overeat, and your willpower, your cognitive resources to control the amount of your food are down. So you're gonna feel hungry later in the day. You're gonna have all kinds of cravings for all kinds of foods for one reason or the other. You're gonna be crankier. You're not gonna be as productive. A lot of things gonna be happening when you don't get those nutrients early in the day. That's why for a lot of people, I actually don't recommend to fast first part of the day. It's much more beneficial, and that's objective for people to fast later in the day when your activity goes down, when it's closer to bedtime, when your body and brain don't need that nutrients, and also when your digestive system is not that active and your metabolism is not that active, and all that means is your body is not as effective at metabolizing, absorbing those nutrients that you get from your food. So what are the nutrients that you need to put on your plate for breakfast to feel less hunger, to feel less cravings, to have more energy, more productivity, feel better in the beginning of your day, first part of the day, and naturally transitioning to less active part of the day without having those, again, hunger attacks, like you gotta eat it all now, right? And that happens, again, one of the biggest reasons is because your brain did not get what it needed to get before the dinner, and so now it just wants to get everything, right? Your hunger is at its peak, especially if you're somewhere where you're gonna get food. Like, it's gonna be super hard to impossible to control any food intake or have some sort of guidelines for yourself. So what are you having for breakfast? Nutrient number one that your brain is searching for that all the time, is blood glucose. That's what your brain is searching for, is thirsty for, is hungry for. And you get that by eating carbohydrates consistently, carbohydrates that come from whole foods, carbohydrates that come with a lot of fiber. The best are beans, lentils, things like that, simply because they have the most fiber and they release their energy slower. And so your brain, your body, they're not hungry for longer. There are a lot of other benefits for beans and lentils and alike. But specifically what you want to understand is for breakfast, you do want to have some source of carbohydrate, and it's best when it's not processed. Otherwise, you might experience crashes up and down, and energy crash, and productivity, and sleepiness, and all kinds of roller coaster rides in your feelings, emotions, and your energy levels. So you want to get carbohydrates from whole foods. How much will depend on the size of the person you are, how active you are. Maybe you do, like I do, sports in the morning, so you might afford a lot more carbohydrates and you might need it for optimal function. If you are a numbers person, then per day you probably want to get around, and you are kind of average in height and activity, 150 grams of carbohydrates. If you are more active, taller, a guy with a lot of muscle, that goes up and up and up. But I always recommend, a good handful of whole food carbohydrates, or big cup of berries, or similar amount of fruit. Maybe even more, because we want to eat more for breakfast or first meal of the day, because again, that's where you are the most active. That's where nutrients get metabolized, absorbed, digested better, and used so much better, right? So first part of the day, have more. If you feel like having more of whole food carbohydrates, please do have them. Again, the best are beans and lentils, followed by things like complex carbs, like potatoes or other tubers, vegetables, basically vegetables that are underground. They have this complex structure of carbohydrate molecule. That's why they're called complex. Then whole grains, especially things like amaranth or quinoa, are really great. They also have a great profile of amino acids or plant-based protein. Here we have fruit, although fruit kind of like works for some people, not so much for others, but berries are great. Of course, if you have problems with blood sugar, pre-diabetic, diabetic, I'm not talking about those cases, then consult your medical care provider for exact guidance for that, depending also if you're taking medication or not. But here, I want to simplify it once again. You want to have your carbohydrates with a lot of fiber from whole foods for breakfast. That's what your brain is going to be searching for. If it's not getting it, it's going to keep you hungrier, crankier, and eating the whole day, right? So when you get complex carbohydrates for breakfast. The second thing that your brain is searching for are amino acids. Amino acids, proteins. Basically, proteins are needed to make your brain and your body function. It's not just about muscles, it's about neurotransmitters that make you think, remember, that make you feel focused and motivated, that keep your memory running. So your brain does need a lot of those amino acids found in protein. Animal protein, again, is better than plant-based protein for that. You want to get here at least 30 grams of protein for your first meal of the day. Again, bigger, stronger, faster, and you need more. What else about protein? Also, your hormones, every chemical reaction in your body is either made out of protein or with protein. So you need protein. That's the bottom line. A lot of women I worked with who don't like protein for breakfast and eat very tiny amount. They say, well, I'm not that focused and not that motivated, not that energetic in the morning, and I have cravings for a piece of cookie here, a piece of, chocolate or something else there. And the reason, one of the biggest reason is you don't eat those essential nutrients your brain's searching for. That's why you're a little bit unfocused. Plus, again, the brain needs protein literally to create the state of focus molecularly. So the reason why a lot of women don't feel all that energized and motivated is because you simply don't eat your protein for breakfast. Load that plate with protein. If you don't want to chew a lot of stuff, then have a good quality with all the essential amino acids protein shakes. A lot of plant-based protein shakes, they still don't have the kind of amino acid profile that is the best for your brain and your body. Very few companies do that, right? So, and especially when it comes to cheaper plant-based protein powders, that's almost always a miss for your body and your brain. And what it means is, again, if we are talking about weight loss today, right? All it means is you're going to be hungrier still, even if you do consume that lower quality plant-based protein. So the best things are to eat for breakfast things like eggs, at least 3, plus I would recommend tuna on top, because eggs are not that high in protein, only like 6 grams per egg. And tuna, when you eat like 3-4 ounces or 100 grams, it's going to be like already 20 grams plus the eggs, and you're good to go. Greek yogurt, I would recommend 500 milliliters of Greek yogurt, plain, no sugar. You add your berries or whatever if you need to make it more flavorful. And that would give you about, on average, 35 to 40 grams of protein. If you eat 500 milliliters of yogurt, that's my dose of yogurt if I want to get protein from it. Right, of course, things like salmon, chicken, beef, pork. I love those things. I can eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. To be honest, I don't know why so many people hunt to mention breakfast with those foods in it. Or maybe, I have my breakfast at least 3-4 hours after waking. That's after sports, so I'm quite hungry naturally, and my digestive system is already up and running full speed. So maybe that's why for me it's so easy to imagine. But also I know, guys, that if you are, and ladies, if you are someone who not used to eat a lot of protein for breakfast, that might be just a habit. And when you start having more, then your body will get used to that, and you'll feel like you need it, right? And it's a good sign. And again, when you preload with those essential nutrients like carbohydrates from whole foods with a lot of fiber, like proteins, you're going to be less hungry over the course of your day. You're going to naturally eat less. You're not going to have cravings. Your energy going to be distributed much better. And also your body weight going to be distributed much better. What it means is you're going to have less fat tissue, more muscle tissue. Of course, muscles do not come from food. They come from exercise. So if you want to increase that, then you got to lift some weight. But anyhow, back to our essential nutrients: whole food carbohydrates with fiber and proteins. And the third thing that your brain is searching for is essential fats. Those omega-3s and omega-6s both are essential. If you do not consume them from your diet in sufficient amount and good quality, then bad consequences gonna follow. Anything from your energy metabolism to your blood sugar to hormonal imbalances to your compromised cognitive capacity. My favorite food, my favorite way to get the essential fatty acids from foods in the morning is I take my fish oil in the morning and I have a handful of walnuts and you're good to go. Guys, handful of walnuts, fish oil, you get all the omega-3s. Well, if you feel like eating salmon for breakfast, that's another great alternative. Although salmon does not have that many omega-6s, walnuts do have quite good amount, but also eggs have those omega-6s, right? That's why eggs are also good. My recipe that works for a lot of people who especially not into eating fish every morning necessarily, fish oil or algae oil where you find your omega-3s and a generous handful of walnuts, not pecans, not almonds, not anything, but specifically walnuts for those essential fats. And so to give you some examples, how can you combine those three things, your carbohydrates with fiber from whole foods, your proteins, and your fatty acids, your essential fats, how you combine them? Well, one of the favorite ways that works for a lot of people is having that Greek yogurt for that protein, adding some berries into that, some fruit, maybe also having a little bit of things like quinoa or amaranth or lentils or beans, like a handful, just for additional fiber and slowing down of absorption of all nutrients, and that, guys, will help you full for longer when the absorption of nutrients is slowed down by things like fiber. So yogurt, but even if you add a cup of berries like blueberries or raspberries or blackberries, so a cup of berries, a really generous plate of yogurt, 400-500 milliliters Greek yogurt, and your fish oil and handful of walnuts, and you're done. Another thing, you might make a shake and you might put a serving or two of protein powder. You might still eat your fish oil and walnuts for carbohydrates in that shake. Although I do not recommend, again, shakes because they are pre-digested, and whatever is pre-digested by a machine like blender is going to be absorbed into your bloodstream easier and faster, and what it means is that hunger gonna come faster. So if you blend like a banana in your smoothie, maybe with some green powder or greens like spinach, it's just gonna go down faster and gonna be digested faster. But yeah, you can in your smoothie you can have this protein powder. You also can add some yogurt. You also can add berries and banana, and maybe put some flaxseed. They're super rich in also in omega-3s and omega-6s essential fats, and also they're super rich in fiber that's gonna slow down the whole movement of stuff, right? So you can put that also in your shake, and here again you get your essential fats, you get your carbohydrates from things like berries or maybe blended banana, or maybe eat your banana and blend your berries. To have some of that chewable fiber in your breakfast, and yeah, that's it. Also, you can have things like 3 eggs, adding some tuna onto that. For your carbohydrates, you can have a generous handful of cooked lentils or beans. Or maybe again you have a cup of berries and some walnuts, and again your fish oil or algae oil. And breakfast like that is scientifically designed to provide those nutrients that your brain is searching for. Breakfast like this will give you no cravings, will prolong your high energy levels for much longer. You will not have energy crashes anytime soon. For your brain, it's going to be a powerful signal to turn your hunger down later in the day. So you have more energy, less cravings, you feel more productive, happier, because a lot of those nutrients also contribute to things like serotonin, that feel good chemical, right? So not hungry, happy, full of energy, and you continue with whatever eating plan you have for the rest of the day, but you're going to do so much better on autopilot. For the brain, guys, it's very often all about priming. What you do up front to get the results on autopilot down the road. And with weight loss, it's also the same. Preload on good nutrition that provides essential nutrients, and it's going to be so much easier for you to lose weight and maintain your ideal body weight by not having hunger and cravings all the time. That's it for today, guys. If you have any questions about what you heard today, maybe you need some advice on how to design a breakfast in your specific situation, please do reach out. Instagram is the best way at 1000 Year Young, or just simply search Angela Shurina and you'll find me on Instagram. Ask your questions, have the breakfast whenever that breakfast happens to be. Although, again, for most people, I recommend you have it like in that window, maybe 2, 3, 4 hours after your weekend time. If you have questions, reach out. I'm always here to help. Spent more than a decade in weight loss, fat loss space with athletes and people between 45, and also women who are after menopause. So those are the people I work with a lot. So reach out. Let's get your fitness and weight loss journey going and make it successful, short and long term. And as usual, guys, till next time, eat something good for you.